Voice is the courier of our message. On its back, we send out ideas from our soul to the ears of those who would listen. Articulation is the process by which sounds, syllables, and words are formed when your tongue, jaw, teeth, lips, and palate alter the airstream coming from the vocal folds. A little less romantic, but vital all the same. Think of it as a blurry photograph. It doesn't matter how beautiful the setting or the model. If the photo comes out blurry, no one will ever know your full brilliance. In this section, we will cover a few ways to strengthen your voice so there will never be a tight tongue turn of phrase too tricky for you to handle. And we offer you some tips on how to make sure your words are loud enough to be heard, so that they might be able to paint a clear and concise picture in the mind of the listener. Tip 1, breathe from the diaphragm. Quick anatomy lesson. Your diaphragm is here. Your lungs are here. They meet around your belly, so when somebody says breathe from your diaphragm, they are basically saying breathe from your belly. Breath is an involuntary movement, but we can affect how much air we bring into our lungs. Think of air as money. The more money you have in your account, the more you can buy. Full, deep breaths will buy you the projection you need to be heard and enough power to fuel the cadence of any sentence you come across. Some of the poems you'll be dealing with have very long lines in them, meant to be delivered in one breath. There are few things worse than not having enough air to finish your sentences. Here's a quick exercise to practice diaphragmatic or belly breathing from Healthline magazine. I will be sitting up for this, but if it is your first time, I suggest you lie on your back with your knees slightly bent and your head on a pillow. You may also want to place a pillow under your knees for support. Place one hand on your upper chest and one hand below your rib cage, allowing you to feel the movement of your diaphragm. Slowly inhale through your nose, feeling your stomach pressing into your hand. Keep your other hand as still as possible. Exhale using pursed lips as you tighten your stomach muscles, keeping your upper hand completely still. If you're doing it correctly, your chest and your shoulders should remain completely still. You can place a book on your abdomen to make the exercise more difficult. Once you learn how to do belly breathing lying down, you can increase the difficulty by trying it while sitting in a chair. You can then practice the technique while performing your daily activities. This simple exercise will help you have more breath to spend on bringing your chosen text to life. And about that text, tip number 2, let the text lead you. Poets, especially the caliber of poet you are choosing from, have taken a lot of care to create the cadence they want the reader or listener to experience. Cadence being a rhythmic sequence or flow of sounds in language. As the definition says, it encompasses rhythm, but also pace and voice inflection. These tools will aid you in creating the tone or overall feel of your performance and serve to increase the audience's understanding of the material. Here are some things to look out for when you score your poem. Scoring your poem is when you mark it up in order to highlight choices you are going to make when you do the actual performance. Meter, which is the number of syllables plus a pattern of emphasis on those syllables. There's a lot more that I could say about meter, and I'm sure your teacher or teaching artist would be glad to give you more detail, but for this video, syllables plus emphasis equals rhythm. If the author wrote the poem in meter, then it should be the foundation on which you build your presentation. Punctuation. Punctuation assists in organizing your words into discernible verses. It also encapsulates thoughts and ideas. Periods stop, commas separate, and so on. Use them to guide you in how you say the poem. The author put them there for a reason. Line breaks and enjambment. Line breaks being when the author chooses to end the line and start another. Enjambment being the continuation of a sentence or clause across a line break. One of the main differences between poetry and prose is line breaks. It allows the author to not merely play around with pace and the cadence of the poem. Through enjambment, it allows them to embed multiple meanings inside of a sentence or phrase. Here is an example from writer Hannah Huff out of her 2018 article, Dear Bad Writers, Read This Poetic Lines Break Guide on the Notes of Oak website. Here's the text with no line breaks, which we would simply read as, in my room, dusk becomes the electric night light throbbing and lost time found in the shadows. Now here's the same line with line breaks, and we could read it the same way. But why would we? In my room, dusk becomes the electric night, light throbbing and lost, time found in the shadows. It's not as simple as pausing, because there isn't a comma there, but it is a place where, as we transition, we can play with which words we place the emphasis on and the breath in between them. Let me try one more time so you can hear the difference. In my room, dusk becomes the electric night, light throbbing and lost, time found in the shadows. Tip number 3, pace yourself and articulate. In public speaking, pace is the speed with which you are speaking your words. As we discussed earlier, articulation is the process by which sound, syllables, and words are formed when your tongue, jaw, teeth, lips, and palate alter the airstream coming from the vocal folds. The two are together in this tip because one directly affects the other. When we get nervous, we speed up. Even with breathing exercises, there is a physiological response to being in front of people. If we speak too quickly, we increase the chance of pronouncing our words incorrectly. That's why it's important to pace yourself. The poem will offer you pauses and places to take breaths through punctuation, but you control your pace. So before you go on stage, make sure you warm up your vessel. After you've done your shoulder, neck, and back stretches, make sure you stretch the many muscles in your mouth, especially your tongue. There are dozens of videos online for you to practice articulation warm-ups. Find the ones that work for you and do them every time you practice and twice before you perform. And here's some insider info. The performance starts when you speak. Take a breath when you get on stage. Calm your spirit and your tongue. Start when you're ready. A short pause at the top of your presentation can create anticipation, and it also shows that you are in control.
3, 2, 1.
Here we go.
Hi, I'm Regie Cabico. I'm a poet and a teaching artist. Welcome to Poetry Out Loud. Greetings from Union Market, DC. We're going to look at Poetry Out Loud. We're going to look at some of the criteria, particularly for this, looking at your voice. And that's probably the most important aspect, making sure that we can understand the words, Knowing that you're diving into the world of this poem and taking the audience with you on this journey. So when you pause, like I just did, it allows people to see those images and nouns that are in the poem. I know what my heart is like since your love died. It is like a hollow ledge holding a little pool left there by the tide. A little tepid pool drying inward from the edge. In your delivery, make sure that your opening line and your last line, those are the lines that have the most impact. And actually, what has more impact is you introducing yourself, saying your name, and also introducing the title of the poem.
Now, I want to show you an example of a Poetry Out Loud performer that really understands the importance of voice and articulation. Here's Randolph Smith reciting The Negro Speaks of Rivers by Langston Hughes. Notice how he hits the consonant sounds at the end of each of his words. His words never jumble together, and he speaks with his whole mouth, which ensures that the vowels don't get lost and that his sound will travel to the audience. Enjoy.
The Negro Speaks of Rivers by Langston Hughes. I've known rivers. I've known rivers ancient as the world and older than the flow of human blood in human veins. My soul has grown deep like the rivers. I bathed in Euphrates when dawns were young. I built my hut near the Congo and it lulled me to sleep. I looked upon the Nile and raised pyramids above it. I heard the singing of the Mississippi when Abe Lincoln went down to New Orleans, and I've seen its muddy bosom turn all golden in the sunset. I've known rivers, ancient, dusky rivers. My soul has grown deep like the rivers.